All written by women. So today is going to be a lady extravaganza. So let's get started. First book that we're going to talk about is a mystery. It is called, let me get my life together. It's not called that. It's a note to myself. It's called The Great Offshore Grounds by Vanessa Veselka. Selka. And on the day of their estranged father's wedding, half-sisters Cheyenne and Livy set off to claim their inheritance. It's been years since the two have seen each other. Cheyenne is newly back in Seattle, crashing with Livy after a failed marriage and a series of dead ends. Livy works refinishing boats. Super fun job. Her resentment against her freeloading sister grows as she tamps down dreams of fishing off the coast of Alaska. But the promise of a shot at financial security brings the two together to claim what's theirs. Except, instead of money, what their father gives them is information. Bummer. It's a name, which both reveals a stunning family secret and compels them to come to grips with it. In the face of their new reality, the sisters and their adopted brother each set out on journeys that will test their faith in one another, as well as their definitions of freedom. I love this. And this is kind of thick too. This is the Master of Poisons by Andrea Hairston. It's the story of Jola and Awa, a powerful man and a curious young woman. Jola, the emperor's right-hand man, has for years tried to warn his leader about the imminent disaster that awaits his people. A poison desert is spreading across the land, destroying everything in its wake. This sounds wild, and it is a fantasy, of course. Ooh, this looks like a good one. Sorry, I have a thing about the size of books, and like this just feels right in your hands. Come pick this one up. It sounds kind of fun. Kind of. I mean, Poison Deserts. It's not super great, but anyways, the next book is The Last Story of Mina Lee by Nancy Jooyoon Kim. Margot Lee's mother, Mina, isn't returning her calls. It's a mystery to 26-year-old Margot until she visits her childhood apartment in Koreatown, LA, and finds that her mother has suspiciously died. The discovery sends Margot digging through the past, unraveling the tenuous, invisible strings that held together her single mother's life as a Korean war orphan and an undocumented immigrant, only to realize how little she truly knew about her mother. It's also a Reese's Book Club pick from a couple of months ago. Yes. So sounds like a fun one. Tell Me My Name is written by Erin Ruddy. Ellie and Neil Patterson are eager to settle into some quality time at their new cottage. It's the first time in 10 years they've been alone. Or are they? When a friendly encounter with their new neighbor leads to their violent kidnapping, they awake to a living nightmare. Insisting he is Ellie's soulmate, the stranger gives her 3 chances to say his name. If she guesses wrong, it's Neil who will suffer the consequences. This propels Ellie on a desperate trip down memory lane to dredge up the dubious men of her past. Only after discovering the man's true identity and sacrificing her own safety to save Neil does Ellie learn the truth. That everything she thought she knew about her husband and their decade-long love story was a lie. Scandal. This, they all sound good. That's why they're here. That's why I picked them. This is a paperback, also back. I love paperbacks so much. Actually, I prefer them. Fun fact about me. Where the Wild Ladies Are by Aoko Matsuda. A busybody aunt who disapproves of hair removal, a pair of door-to-door saleswomen hawking portable lanterns, a cheerful lover who visits every night to take a luxurious bath, A silent house caller who babysits and cleans while single mother is out working. Where the wild ladies are is populated by these and many other spirited women who also happen to be ghosts. This is a realm in which jealousy, stubbornness, and other excessive feminine passions are not to be feared or, or suppressed, but rather cultivated. And chances are a man named Mr. Ty will notice your talents and recruit you, dead or alive, preferably dead, to join his mysterious company. That sounds so fun. I don't remember buying this book, but I'm glad we have it. Sounds super fun. And the last fiction book that we're going to talk about is If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha. It's a riveting debut novel set in contemporary Seoul, Korea, about 4 young women making their way in a world defined by impossibly high standards of beauty, secret room salons catering to wealthy men, strict social hierarchies, and K-pop fan mania. If you're a fan of K-pop, come and pick this up. But it sounded very interesting. All the women live like within a floor of each other or are neighbors in this apartment building, and it's just like how their lives like intertwine. And yes, story of friendship and all that fun stuff. For our nonfiction, I grabbed a graphic novel. And I grabbed it because I am low-key obsessed with Carmen Marie Machado, who wrote, I'm starting to think, one of my most favorite books of all time, In the Dream House, which is also nonfiction. But right, so this is The Low, Low Woods, and it's written again by Carmen, Danny, and Tamra Bonvillain. And this is obviously, like I said, a graphic novel. That's what it looks like inside. Oh, you can still smell like the ink on this. It smells lovely. But it takes place in Shudder to Think, Pennsylvania. And that town is plagued by a mysterious illness that eats away at the memories of those affected by it. Elle and Octavia are 2 best friends who find themselves the newest victims of this disease after waking up in a movie theater with no memory of the past few hours. Wild. Come pick this up. It's a Hill House comic. I don't know what that means, but one day I will. And it's also a DC Black Label. So if you're a fan of DC, come grab it. The next book is by one of my favorite singers. In fact, she's the only like musical artist that I love so much and haven't seen in concert, mainly because she very rarely tours the US, and maybe it doesn't matter. It's by Lana Del Rey, and this is her first book of poetry. It's called Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass. I love her, but I can't listen to her a lot because sometimes her music makes me horribly depressed, but that's fine. I love most about this is like the font and the paper, and then it has like, I can't even describe these photos, but they're all in there, and there's like some personal photos. But Lana Del Rey is wonderful and moody, and I love her so much. But she brings her breathtaking poetry to life in an unprecedented book. This description that I got is about her audiobook. We do not have it yet. But yeah, this is just her book of poetry, and I'm super jazzed about it. The next one is not written by, but about Miss Dolly Parton, who I've had 9 to 5 stuck in my head for a straight week, by the way, for no particular reason. But this book is by Sarah Schmarsh. Growing up amid Kansas wheat fields and airplane factories, Sarah Schmarsh witness firsthand the particular vulnerabilities and strengths of women in working poverty. Meanwhile, country songs by female artists played in the background, telling powerful stories about life, men, hard times, and surviving. In her family, she writes, country music was foremost a language among women. It's how we talk to each other in a place where feelings aren't discussed. And no one provided that language better than Dolly Parton. Infused with Marsh's trademark insight, intelligence, and humanity, she comes by it natural as a sympathetic tribute to the icon Dolly Parton and calls it whatever you like, the organic feminism she embodies. No, I still have 9 to 5 stuck in my head. But that's fine. So I didn't read a lot and I didn't listen to a lot this week. I did get engaged. So all of my free time has been looking at wedding stuff because I'm just so gosh darn excited. So with that being said, I only listened to Rebecca this week. Written by Daphne. Jen's gonna scold me for not remembering her last name. Jen, who is a previous guest, talked about this being her favorite book. And then my friend's book club that I do, that was the selection for this month. The first part of it started super slow, and I kind of just, prodded along. It was a story, and then the end of it really turned around and I really enjoyed it, and it was quite the ending. I am absolutely furious that there is not a sequel to it, because I would really like to know some more information because of how it ended. So if you haven't read it, do. If you have read it, please message me so we can talk about it, if you aren't already in my book club. So there's that. And this morning I just started listening to the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, and I am totally hooked on it. So far, it is like riveting. Like, you are stuck in this, and there are so many questions, not stuck, like dropped right into this story, and you're like, what is going on? I still don't really know what it's about, but it's great. That is for our book club that will be meeting on Tuesday night, so you still have time to read it if you haven't yet to join us. All of our information on that is either on our Facebook event, on our page, and then it's also on our website. Both can be found on Hoopla, and by both I mean the audiobook and the ebook. So whichever one you like, naturally I will be listening to it. But so far, so good. Big fan. I don't have a guest this week, but I want to talk about a couple of things that the library is doing, and some fun things to go along with that. First, I'm going to talk about our virtual escape rooms that Bridget does. She puts so much work into these, and they are so fun. They're pretty much a mix between an escape room and like a tabletop role-playing game. Got it right. And so for this fall, she's going to do the Toy Store of Good and Evil, where you've gotten yourself locked into the store after hours, and we want to know, can you get yourself out before you fall victim to the strange things that happen there after it closes? Bridget will guide you through it. You will need to register, and this is only for people within the greater Oneonta area or within the 4-county library system. You can invite your people from really anywhere that you want, but at least one person, preferably the person that registers, must be from the area. And there's multiple dates and times. I know she's doing some next weekend, and then the following weekend, that first weekend in November. So please register for that. It is going to be so fun. Perhaps maybe I shall also sign up for it and do it with some of my friends. And you don't even have to be together. It can all be done virtually. So that should be fun. The second thing I want to talk about, and then we can get into some spooky season stuff, is the pumpkin glow that we're doing next Friday. If you have not reserved your pumpkin, no problem. You can still do that. But next week from 6 to 7:30, we're doing a pumpkin glow in our upper park. It's on a loop. It's going to be one way. All of the CDC guidelines are still going to be in place. We please ask you that you wear your mask even though you are going to be outside, and that you obviously stay apart from other families. But it's going to be super fun, and we're so excited. But yeah, basically, you're going to carve a pumpkin. You're going to bring it here. People are going to judge it, and if they like it, you're going to get a prize. Sounds super fun. So, for that, we wanted to talk a little bit about like where carving pumpkins came from. And as a historian, I'm super into that. So, I'm just going to read you all the stuff that Bridget found, which is really interesting. Right. So, carving pumpkins originated in Ireland and also Scotland. And instead of using pumpkins, they used to carve turnips. How about that? It is believed that the custom of making jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween time began in Ireland. In the 19th century, turnips, hollowed out to act as lanterns and often carved with grotesque faces, were used on Halloween in parts of Ireland and the Scottish Highlands. In these Gaelic-speaking regions, Halloween was also the festival of Samhain, yes, and was seen as a time when supernatural beings and the souls of the dead walked the earth. Jack-o'-lanterns were also made at Halloween time in Somerset during the 19th century, which is also in England. And I also do believe that's where they film the Great British Baking Show, right? I think. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm like totally obsessed with that show. And it's like, oh, it's so cozy and it's so nice. And all I want to do is bake now. Right. So by those who made them, the lanterns were said to represent either spirits or supernatural beings, or were used to ward off evil spirits. For example, sometimes they were used by Halloween participants to frighten people, and sometimes they were set on windowsills to keep harmful spirits out of one's home. It has also been suggested that the jack-o'-lanterns originally represented Christian souls in purgatory, as Halloween is the eve of All Saints' Day. Yay. So she also found the story of Stingy Jack, who I'm going to guess is why we call them jack-o'-lanterns, but we're going to find this out together. So, as the story goes, several centuries ago, amongst myriad towns and villages in Ireland, there lived a drunkard known as Stingy Jack. Jack was known throughout the land as a deceiver, manipulator, and an otherwise dredge of society. On a fateful night, Satan overheard the tale of Jack's evil deeds and silver tongue. Unconvinced and envious of the rumors, the devil went to find out for himself whether or not Jack lived up to his vile reputation. Typical of Jack, he was drunk and wandering through the countryside at night when he came upon a body on his cobblestone path. The body with an eerie grimace on its face turned out to be Satan. Jack realized somberly this was his end. Satan had finally come to collect his malevolent soul. So Jack made a last request. He asked Satan to let him drink ale before he departed to Hades. Finding no reason not to um, acquiesce the request, Satan took Jack to the local pub and supplied him with many alcoholic beverages. Upon quenching his thirst, Jack asked Satan to pay the tab on the ale, much to Satan's surprise. This is hilarious. Jack convinced Satan to metamorphosize into a silver coin with which to pay the bartender. Satan did so, impressed upon Jack's unyielding, nefarious tactics. I need to make this bigger. Give me a second. Shrewdly, Jack stuck the now transmogrified Satan coin into his pocket, which also contained a crucifix. The crucifix presence kept Satan from escaping his form. This coerced Satan to agree to Jack's demand. In exchange for Satan's freedom, he had to spare Jack's soul for 10 years. I'm going to make this bigger. 1 second. Neat. Okay. Now that I can read that better. 10 years later, to the date when Jack originally struck his deal, he naturally found himself once again in Satan's presence. Jack happened upon Satan in the same setting as before, and he seemingly accepted it was his time to go to Hades for good. As Satan prepared to take him to hell, Jack asked if he could have one apple to feed his starving belly. Foolishly, Satan once again agreed to his request as Satan climbed up the branches of a nearby apple tree. Jack surrounded its base with crucifixes. Satan, frustrated at the fact that he had been entrapped again, demanded his release. As Jack did before, he made a demand that his soul never be taken by Satan into Hades. Satan agreed, and he was set free. Eventually, the drinking took a toll on Jack, and he died. Flaky Jack's soul prepared to enter heaven through the gates of St. Peter, but he was stopped. And Jack was told by God that because of his sinful lifestyle of deceitfulness and drinking, he was not allowed into heaven. Jack then went down to the gates of hell and begged for admission into the underworld. Satan, fulfilling his obligation to Jack, could not take his soul. To warn others, he gave Jack an ember, marking him a denizen of the netherworld. From that day on until eternity's end, Jack is doomed to roam the world between the planes of good and evil with only an ember inside a hollowed turnip to light his way. I was wondering where this was going to wrap up and make sense, but that's super fun little folklore for your Friday morning. We also found a few little random facts. The largest pumpkin variety is the C. maxima, and it can reach 75 pounds or more. The most massive pumpkins ever weighed were about 2,000 pounds. And we found a fun local fact that James Fenimore Cooper wrote a nautical novel titled The Jack-o'-Lantern or The Privateer. The Jack-o'-Lantern was the name of the ship, and that was written in 1842. God, I love spooky season so much. So carve your scariest pumpkin or not. You can make it fun, and bring it to us. If you need a pumpkin, please let us know. Either give us a call at 607-432-1980 or email the library at our name, Huntington Memorial Library @gmail.com. We'll also put this in the comments so you can find it easier, and request one, or you can bring your own. It's going to be super fun, and we're very, very excited. real quick, this week in history, only two um, like book related things fun things happened. October 18th, 1896 was the first publication of a full comic strip in a newspaper. Of course, there were cartoons before, but with a strip, there was a little bit of a story. Um, so that's fun. And also, October 25th, 2 days from now, Chaucer, author of the Canterbury Tales, died on that day in the year 1400. So, and this might be one of our quickest lattes that we've had. Next week, we're going to do a spooky Halloween episode. We're going to have our resident lover of Halloween, who probably tops my love of the day, Bonnie. We all know her. She's one of our clerks downstairs, and it's going to be spooky. So, be on that. Oh my God, I can't wait. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hopping on, and hopefully we'll see you at a distance at our pumpkin glow, or come to the library. We're open. We've been open for a couple of weeks now, so pop on in to grab your books. Yay! All right, have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.